They are capable of striking virtually any target anywhere across the entire globe. They can be launched from the air, from land, from water, and even from underwater. At the same time, the missiles themselves are almost impossible to shoot down. For more than 4 decades now, these missiles have stood as a steadfast guardian of democracy and have participated in almost every armed conflict involving the United States of America.
Starting with the Gulf War with the war in the Gulf, and even earlier it was used in the 70s as well.
These are missiles that everyone has heard of at least once, because not a single American action movie goes without them. And these are the missiles most feared in the Kremlin because they are probably the best of conventional weapons today. So what exactly are the infamous Tomahawks capable of? Is Ukraine really asking the United States for these specific missiles? What are the prospects for their transfer, and what could they destroy in Russian military positions and behind enemy lines? We will cover all this and more today in Arsenal. The development of these weapon systems began more than half a century ago. Back in 1972, the United States Department of Defense established the task of transporting nuclear warheads without violating the Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty. Simultaneously, the requirements specified that the carrier had to be launched from the air, from the land, and from the sea. The result of these efforts was the development of a new cruise missile, the Tomahawk. Out of numerous designs, in 1976, the BGM-109 project by General Dynamics was selected. The missile was specifically designed to fly at subsonic speeds and at low altitudes. Incidentally, it was on this particular missile that terrain-following technology was first implemented, allowing it to successfully navigate around obstacles and fly at a low altitude of no more than 30 meters.
The Tomahawk is a versatile medium-range missile. Originally it was developed in all of its variants at once, meaning it was specifically designed for air-based, sea-based, including both submarine and surface ship, and land-based deployment.
This is what delayed its adoption into service, because the missile had to be suitable for everyone at once: the Navy, the Air Force, and the ground forces. As a direct consequence, the Army did not receive this new type of weapon until 10 years after the initial testing phase began, in 1983. There are 9 distinct types of Tomahawks. The Block 1 versions included nuclear warheads and anti-ship variants. In 1991, with the end of the Cold War and the collapse of the USSR, US President George Bush announced that the missiles would be moved into storage, and in 2010 they were sent for disposal as part of the disarmament policy. The same fate befell the ground-launched BMG-109 and the TASM modification. But those initial Tomahawk models served as the early prototypes for the American missiles today. For example, the TASM-C. This missile was widely used during Operation Desert Storm. According to official data, more than 300 Tomahawks were launched at that time, and 85% of them hit their targets.
The Tomahawk's launch range is 2,500 kilometers. It is used constantly, especially in the Middle East, starting from the Gulf War, from the war in the Gulf. Well, it was also used earlier, even in the 70s.
The most advanced Tomahawk today is the Block 5 modification. After its initial launch, it can be dynamically redirected while in mid-flight via satellite communication to any of 15 pre-programmed alternative targets. The missile's onboard radar and communication systems have been upgraded, making it impossible to jam with electronic warfare, and it is capable of hitting targets even without a GPS signal. Its cost is estimated at $1.5 million.
This accordingly takes into account the possibility of electronic warfare with enhanced capabilities to counteract electronic interference. Additionally, the warhead has been improved. By the way, the warhead weighs about 260 kilograms. This is a serious weapon. And once again, I want to emphasize that the tactical and technical characteristics have been enhanced. This includes the flight range and, most importantly, the target engagement radius.
Experts cite the main advantages of Tomahawks as their low flight altitude, high accuracy, and the fact that these missiles are not covered by the Strategic Arms Treaty. Furthermore, the missile is remarkably easy and straightforward to deploy even on vessels that are not specialized. Thanks to the strategic way Tomahawks are now deployed, they provide comprehensive coverage across the entire globe and can strike virtually any target. Furthermore, due to their extreme precision, they are capable of hitting specific objectives without creating a wide zone of mass destruction, meaning there is virtually no harm caused to nearby civilians. All of this is possible thanks to the modern DSMAC guidance system. It is equipped with so-called machine vision, where three-dimensional images of the terrain and the target's coordinates are stored in memory. During flight, the missile constantly photographs its route and compares the images with the existing map. As a result, at a distance of 2,500 kilometers, the deviation can be a maximum of only 5 meters.
This is a weapon that has been constantly improved through the numerous wars fought by the United States of America. According to the data, since it was first adopted into service, that is exactly what makes them truly unique. That is to say, the tactical and technical characteristics are carefully considered, as well as the evolving changes in the types of weaponry used by the enemy. And these updates are then directly integrated into the modernization of the cruise missile itself.
However, it does have its drawbacks. The majority of such missiles today are only sea-based, since the Americans acted within the framework of international agreements, naively trusting Russia and destroying the land-based versions of Tomahawks. The US missed Moscow's development of Caliber missiles and is now actively trying to revive old designs, adapting them to today's realities.
Right now, the United States is rapidly adapting the Tomahawk missile for land-based deployment. In other words, they're developing a launcher for it. This missile is container type, so I think they'll be able to create this launcher fairly quickly. The only thing left is to install a fire control system and a coordinate input system for this missile.
However, by deploying Tomahawks on their numerous warships, the US has also gained an advantage. After all, there is no information about which specific submarines and ships are carrying these missiles, and it's simply impossible to destroy all American naval vessels. Accordingly, none of Washington's adversaries knows where to deliver a preemptive strike. And on the contrary, a strike from the US could come from anywhere.
The uniqueness of these launches and accordingly the cruise missiles lies in what we might describe as the near total impossibility of detecting the launches themselves.
Taking all these capabilities into account, one of the points in President Zelensky's victory plan was a request specifically for these missiles, according to Western media. The Ukrainian leader himself indirectly confirmed the information by criticizing the West for leaking it.
This was confidential information between Ukraine and the White House. How should we interpret these reports? Therefore, this means that there is nothing confidential between the partners.
Whether Ukraine will receive such missiles still remains unclear. There are plenty of skeptics regarding such a transfer. However, a number of analysts believe that not everything is so hopeless, because after developing a modification of ground-launched Tomahawks, they will need to be tested, preferably in combat conditions. And currently, there is simply no better way to test these systems than to send at least a small number of them over to Ukraine for evaluation. Did you enjoy watching this video? If so, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our brand new Arsenal channel. You can find the link in the description section right below this video.